Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with more podcasting action right here at NFT NYC. I'm sitting on the streets outside the Bread Factory Cafe, which is just a few blocks away from Times Square. And yeah, also piggybacking on the free Wi-Fi at this cafe. And it's great because today I have a really special guest. Her name is Heather Dunaway Smith. Perhaps we'll save more time and just get her onto our podcasting studio right now and let her introduce herself. Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah,
hello.
Nice to see you, Wayne. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for agreeing to do this in such an impromptu way. And I know that we scheduled this discussion or this chat, right, a couple of weeks back. So I'm sorry it took so long for this to happen. And finally, when it happened, I'm actually right here, overseas in New York. So I think this is a very exciting time because, maybe I'll share some of what I've seen over here in New York, and you could maybe shed some light on, what's happening over there in your hometown as well, especially in the world of XR. So let's start off by maybe giving us some context to my audience. Tell us, where you're from and what do you do? And yeah, over to you, my friend.
Sure. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Heather Dunaway Smith. I'm an interactive artist. I basically started out as a playwright and a songwriter, just kind of interested in stories. And then I discovered the creative potential of computers and learned how to code and design skills and that sort of stuff. And then have spent many years building interfaces, essentially. So websites, apps, and I eventually ended up in mobile games with an emphasis on the storytelling, illustration, and animation. And a few years ago, I discovered that the augmented reality software that was available had really changed the game. Like stuff that was previously, basically I would require like a team of 20 developers, I could actually do on my own. And so I just felt really empowered and excited and started exploring the new medium. And I've been doing it full time for the last few years. Adobe found me pretty soon after I decided to pursue it full time, and I became one of their AR art residents. And later, Snap found me, and I got some of the AR spectacles, so the brand new AR glasses, and I've been developing for them as well. Basically, I'm just trying to explore what this brand new medium is capable of, and by creating experiences where the participant is actually the protagonist in the story. So they're the centerpiece, and I'm creating worlds for them to inhabit.
What an amazing introduction and what an amazing story. Just want to maybe quickly jump in and get you to talk about some of your immersive experience because you mentioned about Snap. You've done quite a lot of client work as well with many agencies. So perhaps you could tell us about your latest AR artwork. I think what we are seeing, is that one of your latest creations?
This is actually one of my earliest creations. I'm just starting to explore face filters. Previously, I've been doing a lot of like world-based stuff, but I realized that like, essentially I can't imagine a more intimate experience than an audience wearing your artwork on their face. That's like a very direct relationship. So I'm kind of exploring that right now. One of my latest pieces is actually going to be for the Vancouver AR Festival in Canada. And essentially it's going to be a kaleidoscope, a full body kaleidoscope that you experience with your face and your body. And it's basically reflecting what identity is, this sort of like transitory identity that we're experiencing right now, where it's a combination of, things we're born with, things that we absorb from the world around us, right? And reflect from the world around us. And then also a series of choices, because we're entering a period where people are going to be able to control what they look like completely. Personal expression is really going to be quite fantastic in the future. And even right now, as you can tell with this filter. But yeah, I'm basically exploring new input models. I'm working on a piece for the spectacles right now where I'm a singer too, and I have a dream of being able to like paint with my voice. So I'm working on that, and yeah, just experimenting. A lot of experimenting right now.
This is so exciting, and I also know that your latest AR artwork, right, was created in partnership with Spectacles. So perhaps you might want to talk a little bit more about that. We know that The Door is also an interactive AR song that basically changes mood based on how you respond to it. So tell us about the song piece as well.
Yeah, I just finished that piece for Snap. It was a lot of fun to work with. When they came to me and wanted to create a project, I really wanted to leverage like the most exciting capabilities of their software, and they had just released 3D hand gesture tracking, so people can make hand gestures in space and read them and then trigger events. So the door is an interactive AR song that you play with your hands, essentially. So you're triggering different musical components throughout the experience. And I wrote a little bit of code so that no matter when you gesture, it should be in time. So it actually feels musical when you're playing it. And it's also like a little story about like I don't know, personal choice. And it's a little world, but it's also a song. You know, it's kind of at the intersection of a lot of different things. Kind of like everything in this space. We're forging new ground by combining things. Yeah.
This is fantastic. I know that just like me, you are an avid traveler. So you have traveled to many places in Europe as well. And tell us about the last time you were visiting the Czech Museum of Music and you saw instruments in the museum and these little weirdos, right, which are bit, maybe based on a woodwind that you discovered there. Tell us about the story.
Sure. Well, a couple of years ago, this intersected with me discovering that the AR software landscape had really changed. I basically saved up a bunch of money so that I could leave my full-time job and pursue art full-time. And part of me transitioning from the full-time space to the freelance space was a trip that I gave myself. It was an art trip to Europe. Where I got to go to different like art experiences, and I ended up in Prague, which I've always been fascinated by. And I ended up at the Music Museum, which includes this really wild collection of unique and very, very rare musical instruments that to me, when I was looking at them, I was just really inspired by their shapes and forms. And they seemed to just sort of like seem like characters automatically to me. So I went ahead and pursued that as an art piece or a series of art pieces where I took those body forms and turned them into characters. That were both musical and nature, very whimsical. And I was just having fun and kind of exploring what I could do with my personal memories that were meaningful to me and create something new with them. So that's what I did.
Do you think that technologies like AR can allow us to experience like the same piece of art, like despite physical locations? Like, even right now, yeah, we are physically in different parts of the world, but we're having this 2D Zoom-like chat. How about using or tapping on technologies like AR or even VR? What's your take on that?
Well, I think we're entering a stage where the art is going to leave the gallery and be in the world around us. So our favorite pieces of art are going to be wherever we are. So for example, if you purchased a piece of art that you really loved, like a 3D model or an experience of some sort, you could actually take that with you to the beach with your loved ones and then display that artwork. Perhaps it interacts with elements from the surrounding environment, like the sunrise or the sunset. And then you can experience that piece of art in the context of where you are with the people you are with and have a brand new experience combining the art, the context and community. That's very exciting to me. Like I'm a big believer that art is for everybody. And I think that this is going to really increase accessibility. So people don't have to travel, across the world to museums to experience like the most important artifacts in history or the latest pieces of modern art. It's going to allow access in a brand new way. And because of its ability to relate to context, so this is like GPS locations or physical body, like context can take a lot of different colors. Because of that ability of augmented reality, art is going to go places it's never gone before. We've always had site-specific art, but this is going to be a new stage of context-sensitive artwork, which is very exciting.
You mentioned earlier on the show that about your incredible work that you're doing with Snap. So we know that Snap recently announced that it's launching a global creative studio to help brands develop AR advertising and experiences. So if I'm not wrong, the new studio is called Arcadia, right? And it aims to help companies develop experiences that can be used across web platforms and app-based AR environments. So perhaps you could tell us more about this incredible collaboration and how you think that creators can really level up by joining this creative studio and actually also help them to level up in terms of the kind of work that they're helping brands to develop in terms of the AR advertising and experiences.
Sure. Well, I mean, honestly, Snap is on the forefront of a lot of these technologies. They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and they're thinking about it in terms of the market. So they're really thinking about like the advertising opportunities and the experiential opportunities and trying to create a suite of creator tools that makes it available to everyone, which I really admire. I do think that they've also done a lot of research that has basically showed that the conversion of people when they try something in AR to actually purchasing it is much, much higher than just like a traditional setting. So I think people are really excited about that possibility. And that's what the whole business is about, that particular section of the business. But I mean, to be honest, like, we're able right now to create experiences that we weren't able to just a couple of years ago, even a year ago. Like, the landscape is changing very, very swiftly. And it's all centered around individual empowerment, I would say. Like, they're really trying to put empowerment in individual creators' hands because they realize that we're actually living in a creator economy and will only be more so going on in the future. So creativity is no longer just for a select few people who happen to have the training or the tools. Like, the tools will be in everybody's hands, and everybody will be able to contribute to the creativity that we see in the world, both what we see on our presentation and also in the actual, space around us, like the metaverse.
We know about your vast contributions when it comes to the AR field, but some of us also know that you are a musician, so you're also contributing great music to the universe. So perhaps we should talk a little bit about your music work, and this is as in addition to your work as an interactive artist, of course. So you've been looking for like many ways to combine like these two passions together. So tell us about a recent project where you're able to combine your music together with your AR passion, and about your new album as well, Twisted.
Yeah, I do. You really did your homework. Thanks, Wayne. Yeah, so I grew up in a family of artists that were interdisciplinary, and from the very beginning, I was encouraged to explore different mediums. So I just always have, like, I have stories to tell, and I would pick a particular medium based on what I was trying to express. And yeah, and right now I'm basically combining all of those things that I like to do into singular experiences, which is really exciting for me because I'm an illustrator. I love to draw. Like, I've been a musician for a long time. I love to sing and write music. And I'm also an animator and an interactive designer. Those are sort of my four, like, real core strengths. So I'm able to combine them now. But I mean, the piece, I'm interested in using the voice as input model. So using audio as for input in these interactive experiences. So the piece I'm working on for the spectacles right now actually takes the mic data. So in this case, it would be someone singing, and then converts it into a visual experience, almost like tilt brush. So you're painting in 3D, but with your voice. And depending on the pitch and the timbre of your voice, it will actually spawn different types of objects. So the texture will appear different, the color will appear different. Everything will be reactive to the audio signal. So people are going to be able, it's almost like creating a synesthesia that everyone can experience. So you're taking audio and making it visual in a very accessible way. And yeah, I love music. I feel like it's kind of the heart of humanity in many ways. Like, music is so capable of expressing emotion, even without words. It's a very global language, and I think it's a really powerful component of these interactive experiences. Audio is absolutely essential to creating presence in an interactive experience. We take it for granted, but our ears give us all sorts of cues about the world that we live in. And if you're missing that component in these experiences, it doesn't feel whole. It feels like you're in a vacuum. So you have to include audio in a smart way, and you can use it to help interaction, to direct a participant within the experience, and also to help with the emotional content that you're trying to communicate. Yeah, it's an excellent tool.
On our plethora or myriad of podcast shows on our Podcast Asia network, we like to also celebrate, all the female musicians, especially in the indie, metal, hard rock, even electronic or industrial music scenes around the world. So, in fact, my last guest on another podcast called the Bucket List Band podcast was Emily Lazar of September Morning, someone who I have the honor and privilege of meeting in the flesh, yeah, in real life during one of the events or after parties at NFT NYC. So it's a huge honor to always have musicians, cool musicians, and female musicians. Have you guys come on and talk about music on a podcast? So you understand that you released a lot of new music under your moniker Bone and Bell for the first time in 6 years, right? Earlier this year. So tell us what happened. Why it took so long, and it's almost like all the time it took my Bucket List Band tool to release their album Fear Inoculum, which took 13 years. So you took 6 years only. Tell us what happened.
Sure. Well, a lot of different things happened. So I moved, which was one part of it. So I've been making music under the moniker Bone and Bell for about 10 years now. And it's gone through several different stages. Like at first it was sort of a solo production, and then I got a band when I was living in Chicago and we toured and that sort of stuff. And then I moved to Portland, Oregon, and sort of had to start over. And I was also interested in doing more of the production aspects. So this is actually the first album that I largely recorded and engineered myself as well. So I was kind of like leveling up my skill base as part of it, but also I was accumulating the songs. The songs come when they want to. And there was a period here in the last few years where I actually had a really bad injury. I was, this is very ironic, but I bought a new house and I was moving boxes in, and I was carrying a big box, like a 50-pound box of my own vinyl records. And I missed a step and I fell, and I tried to catch the box, and basically it landed on my wrist, on the step, and shattered it. And it popped it out of location as well. And they missed that in the x-rays. So I actually wasn't able to rotate my wrist for about a year and a half. But it took surgery and physical therapy and stuff for me to be able to play music again. And that was sort of that's what, all of those experiences culminated into Ascender. It's about that sort of like the trial by fire and the the growth through challenge, and just sort of discovering what I was really capable of, because I was bound and determined to play music again. People told me that I wouldn't be able to, and I said no. I'm gonna do everything in my power to keep playing, because this is such a big part of me and my life. Like I can still play. I figured out new ways to play, and I'm actually really happy that it's influenced in really interesting ways. Like I'm writing stuff now that I wouldn't have been able to write in the past, based on these limitations. So I think it just goes to show that like creative constraints are actually like a very, very powerful tool that people should lean into. Like you never know what you're going to discover when you have one of your hands like lifted tied behind your back. But yeah, that's to Ascender, and I released an augmented reality component to that album last year too. So if you bought the special edition, it came with an artprint that had an AR experience associated with it, that allowed you to get behind the scenes footage and an additional song that you could download as well. Again, trying to combine all of my stuff together. Yeah.
What if someone told you 2 years ago that you'll be doing the things that you are doing and building the things that you are building? Would you have believed that?
No, absolutely not. Like I would not have believed the sort of stuff that I'm capable of making today. Like to be honest, like I said earlier, I'm really in this like experiential or like experimental stage where I'm just discovering what these tools can do. And as I push further to the edges, I'm just finding like new experiences and new pieces of art and new ways of interacting with the art and with the audience. And it's all kind of blowing my mind. I was like a sci-fi fantasy nerd, like kid growing up, and always wanted to be able to perform magic. And making augmented reality feels like making magic. Like it's actually, it's fantastical and anything is possible, and I can just really let my imagination run wild and then figure out how to make it happen. So it's a truly exciting time to be making stuff in this medium.
I totally love your mantra. Impossible is possible. Dream big and go deep. So, we recently there's been so much, announcements, right, by the likes of big tech companies like Facebook, followed by Microsoft a week later about the metaverse. So, has the metaverse landscape changed everything for you, or the XR software landscape? Basically the ones that basically change everything for you. How do you see this metaverse developing in the next 6 months to a year?
It's going to be really interesting. When a company as big as Facebook, now known as Meta, puts all of their eggs into a particular business basket, everyone else starts paying attention. Suddenly, lots and lots of people are trying to figure out what their metaverse strategy is going to be. Like, more and more resources are coming into the industry, which is really going to propel it forward in a swift fashion. I think it's really interesting to explore the possibility that we're creating a world together in a more equitable way, where everyone gets to contribute, not just those with a particular lineage of money. So the metaverse actually offers us this opportunity to make the world like we want it to be, and also express ourselves in more authentic ways. Since everything is possible, we can now include things that were previously impossible in our personal expression, thereby, maybe more accurately expressing ourselves. So I think there's some real interesting opportunities for artists in particular to create signature pieces via, NFTs, for example, that allow us to create pieces of art that can be shared from one collector to another and have a real life. Since there's a secondary market for these things, people can, maybe buy a particular face filter, for example, and wear it for 6 months, and it becomes associated with their identity. And then they can pass it on. Someone else can buy it, and then that person is, maybe the queen of the black and white ball. However it's gonna work out, I'm not really sure yet, but there's the potential for creators to really get income from this in a meaningful way, and I'm just really excited that 3D artists and digital artists in general are finally have a space where their work can be valued and displayed in a prominent way. So yeah, all of these digital artists that have just been making for the sheer passion of things can actually put their stuff into the world around us, have people wear it, and get actual resource from it, get income. So it's exciting. It's a good time.
Yes, indeed. I think we are living in really exciting times. And when the internet first started, it was all about search, and it's all about getting your website right on the top of search results. And then it became more about social and content. And creators are just giving away the content and unable to control how the content are able to actually bring food on the table for people like creators, like even musicians. And then now for Web3, we're all excited because it allows us to actually respect control. And I think NFTs are one of the ways to allow creators to not just monetize directly from their work or their digital assets, but to actually really grow their own audience.
Yeah.
And as a result, I think everyone is just looking to, I think for the lack of better term, invest or find artists and creators where they fully can back 100%. And someone, if I'm a big fan of your music, for example, and I would love to buy your music NFT, and by the time when you become, one of the chart hitters on the Billboard Top 100, for example, suddenly my NFT is going to be worth 100 times or 1,000 times more. So these are the kind of, things that people would like to see, especially for music lovers, especially. It used to be when, if you're a Nirvana fan and suddenly Smells Like Teen Spirit became a #1 hit, everyone would be complaining that they sold out, right? But for NFT collectors or people who are able to actually own a piece of their earlier demo cassette tape, for example, as an NFT, suddenly when they go big, they're able to actually be happy, be joyful that they could actually bask in the same happiness when they're successful, because the NFTs might be worth so much more exponentially. So I think this is one of the takeaways from what I heard during NFT NYC, and some of the sessions are really powerful. And do you have plans to attend the next NFT NYC together with us at our tribe and community in New York in 2022?
I would love to. Yeah, absolutely. Like we're only just discovering what NFTs are capable of, and the community around NFTs is so inspiring and excited that it's just kind of intoxicating. Like you want to participate because everyone in it is so cool and thinking so out of the box, and really thinking about supporting the creators in a meaningful way, and really like integrating community into the art experience, whether it's art or music or whatever it is. It's like more, to have some sort of monetary stake in the success of the things that they believe in. So it's interesting. But yes, I would love to come next year. That's my plan. Yeah.
So it's a date. Yeah, I hope to see you join us next year right here in New York, and hopefully more people will be able to discover your great music, and of course all your fantastic XR experiences that you're creating for the Metaverse. So I think I just can't wait to see what you'll be up to next, and do come back to the show in the future if you have a new music drop or you have some new XR experiences to share with my audience. So thank you so much for coming on. Any last words or message to our audience back in Asia?
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast. I would just encourage people, everyone, even if you don't have a technical background, to explore these new mediums, because there's new tools available like Adobe Aero, Spark AR, Lens Studio, that all allow you to create these sorts of experiences without coding at all. So like, come with me, like be part of this community. Let's discover together what we can do with this new type of crayon, essentially. Yeah, thank you.
These are all great tools that you mentioned. So to our audience, right, it's time to build and collaborate together. So with that, thank you once again. Keep crushing, Heather. I'll see you in real life, hopefully at the next NFT NYC. Goodbye.
So nice to talk. Bye, Wayne.
Cheers.